Continuing on with the Clone Wars chronological order, I hopped on over to the next arc. Hey guys, a little update here. I uploaded this Clone Wars video actually earlier this morning, like 5 or 6 hours ago. If you watched that, if you caught that video, that version, you know there were a ton of audio glitches going on in that video. I still have no idea what the hell was going on. So this one should be good to go. Also, I noticed that on the right-hand side, William Aguilar's list has 2 arcs put into one. Kind of what I've seen online has this split into 2 different arcs. So that's kind of how I'm going to break down this section on William's list. I'm going to split it into 2 separate arcs, kind of like the conventional way that most arc lists that I see online have it. So if it's confusing at all, I apologize. Well, let's get on with the show, huh? The Battle of Felucia seems to be never ending. It's near a major hyperspace lane that's vital for the Republic and the Separatist forces. The Republic forces are pushing deep into the Separatist controlled territory. Anakin and Ahsoka are leading the charge. General Grievous hears of the attack and sends reinforcements to the outpost. We open up with some droid reinforcements landing on the surface. Jedi Master Plo Koon is doing some recon alongside Anakin and Ahsoka. Plo Koon kind of lays out a plan. Attack the flank, attack the back wall, attack the front gate, all in an attempt to kind of divide the Separatist forces. So Ahsoka's goal is to infiltrate the back wall. Plo Koon goes to the flank, Anakin heads full steam ahead. Artillery begins to pummel the Separatist base. I love when episodes of the Clone Wars take a tactical approach to the action. There's a strategy involved, there's a plan. It's not just Gungans versus droids on a giant Civil War-like battlefield where 2 armies march towards one another to certain death. We see logic applied to defense and logic applied to offense in this show. And while sometimes their plans don't go as expected, at least they have a plan, at least there's charge taken, at least it sometimes makes sense. I just really enjoy whenever the show starts to apply combat tactics and even patience. We're able to hear and follow the strategy that is laid out, and that's important for an audience. So the attack commences, Anakin and Plo Koon secure the outpost, but in the skirmish, Ahsoka gets stunned and captured. When Ahsoka wakes up, she's in this little prison cage, and she talks to a fellow prisoner that's in another prison cage, and that prisoner says their captors are Trandoshan pirates, and they're planning on releasing them and hunting them for sport. And this is when my excitement for this episode and this entire arc shot through the roof. I didn't know what to expect going into this arc. The title, Ahsoka and the Younglings, is pretty vague, right? But now it's like, what's that book? The Most Dangerous Game, People Hunting People. This episode and arc could be super weird, and I'm pretty damn excited for it. The hunt seems like kind of a rite of passage for the Trandoshans. So the Trandoshans head towards their home planet, I think it was, with the prisoners, and then plan the hunt for the next morning. So far, I am loving this episode. It is kind of smaller in scope, it's a little more focused. When the episode started, I kind of expected it to be another action-packed Republic versus Separatist arc. And while those are fun, this is just super different and it changes things up in a good way. Ahsoka meets with some people who used to be Jedi younglings. Actually, I think they're technically still considered younglings, but they seem all grown up now. They seem like they've been on this place for a very long time. They've been on this Trandoshan planet, this moon, whatever this is, I can't remember exactly what it was, being hunted for sport for what seems like a pretty damn long time. I love this aspect of the episode. People hiding out, stuck in this place, constantly on the run, constantly being hunted, unable to escape. An alien race wants to sick them on their walls like trophies. This might become one of my favorite arcs, we'll see, but at the moment, this is so fun and so different that fact alone is enough for me to love it. We see Anakin and Plo Koon talking. Anakin wants to stay and wait for Ahsoka to show up. Plo Koon wants to leave. Ultimately, they leave. The next morning on the Trandoshan moon, the hunt begins. We see what I'm assuming is kind of like the hunt leader sitting in a big wampa chair. It was a nice touch. The moon reminds me of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids for whatever reason. Just enormous foliage. Whenever anybody's running in between it, the foliage, the plants and everything just dwarfs the characters. It really did remind me of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. So the younglings, their leader doesn't want to help anyone else. She says they're not saviors, they're just survivors. She says Ahsoka should listen to what she and the others have to say, what they do, what they've done to survive all this time. They've been here for a long time after all. Ahsoka tries to give a little pep talk, but the younglings are very demoralized. They've seen other Padawans come and go and die in this place. They seem content and kind of happy, continuously running and hiding. So Khalifa, the kind of leader of this youngling group, begins to choke one of the Trandoshans And then Ahsoka tells her not to kill this Trandoshan and hate. It's not the Jedi way, which, I mean, I get it, right? But what I find myself loving about this show is the moral ambiguity of it all, the gray areas that seem to populate every single episode. I find myself agreeing with Anakin's more brash and get shit done attitude, and then I find myself agreeing with a sentiment that Ahsoka just shared. But in this case, I don't think I agree with Ahsoka. You're being hunted. The Trandoshan see you as sport. They do not give a damn about you in the least. They will blast you at first sight. They want to skin you and put you on the wall like a taxidermied turkey. Yet you're gonna keep one alive? After he just tried to kill everyone in your party and potentially call for reinforcements and backup? Maybe this is why the Jedi were ultimately defeated. Man, I find myself loving this show more and more. So Khalifa tells Ahsoka around a campfire that Ahsoka is exactly what they've been lacking. Her powers are great, and the Trandoshan's really messed up by bringing her here. So the crew begins to strategize. They plan on going on the offensive. They're looking for the Trandoshan base, for where they sleep, as Ahsoka says. They spend the morning looking for their base, but it turns out their base is a giant ship overhead. They start chasing the younglings and Ahsoka. Ahsoka saves Khalifa from one of the Trandoshans in a fight that reminded me of when Kirk fought the Gorn. The guy that Ahsoka is fighting is Garnak's son. Garnak is like the head honcho of the hunt, the leader of the Trandoshan hunting club, if you will, and his son ends up dying, and he gets pissed off. He vows revenge. Khalifa dies, and just before she does, Ahsoka promises to help the other younglings. And in the end, we cut to Anakin, and he wants to find Ahsoka. Master Plo Koon says if you've trained her well, she'll make her way back and find her way home. So, I loved this episode. I love the game of it all. I love the hunt. Stories with a survival instinct, an overall tense situation. It's really interesting how the moral compass of this show is constantly swaying from side to side. Like I said earlier, sometimes I side with Anakin on things, sometimes I side with Obi-Wan, sometimes I side with Ahsoka, and dare I say, sometimes I side with Tarkin.